Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today, I want to start off the show with my favorite part of the show, gun talk. Because I want to answer a question that came in to me last night from a viewer who had watched my previous video on what is the best striker-fired handgun out there now for EDC or self-defense. And in that video, I said I actually prefer hammer-fired, but striker-fired is also a great gun. So they asked me, well, what's the difference between hammer-fired and striker-fired? Don't they both use a hammer? Just one's internal and one's external, but it's the same principle. And I want to say to that, no, you couldn't be further from the truth. Not insulting you in any way, just saying you don't understand how they work. And that's because you've probably never been told how they work. So today, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you the difference between a striker-fired and a hammer-fired and explain to you how they are pretty much the exact opposite method of firing a gun. And the way you can really tell that they're opposite is to take a look at the firing pins themselves. If you look at a firing pin, this is just a crude representation of a firing pin from a striker-fired pistol. And then when you look at it next to a hammer-fired firing pin, you'll notice some difference here. The main difference being where the spring is in relation to that little collar on the firing pin, that little thick spot. That's the main difference because it makes the spring work absolutely opposite in these two different types of guns. If you look at the striker-fired one here, the little collar is in front of the spring. Because when you rack the slide, you actually move the firing pin to the rear. There's an extra little leg back there on the firing pin that you didn't see on the hammer-fired pin. Well, that's caught by a sear, and that's a different lesson. I'm not going to go into sears right now. Let's just say that sear holds it in place, keeps it from going forward. But the tension of the spring, since the collar is in front of the spring on the striker-fired gun, the spring is constantly trying to push the firing pin forward. And the sear is preventing it from doing that. Once you remove that sear by pulling the trigger, that spring is allowed to expand again, which is its natural state, and it shoots the firing pin forward, strikes the round, fires the gun. Once that round fires, that actually forces the slide to the rear. When the slide goes to the rear, it takes the firing pin backwards with it, compresses the spring, and the sear locks it in place again. In a hammer-fired gun, it's exactly the opposite. That little ring on the firing pin is behind the spring. The spring in its natural state, which is expanded, is constantly holding the firing pin back, away from the round. And that has to be overcome by a hammer, hitting it with enough force to overcome the spring's tension and compress the spring. And when the hammer forces that firing pin forward, compressing the spring, it strikes the round, fires the gun. And once that happens, the spring goes back to its natural state, expands, moves the firing pin back to the rear once again, and holds it there until the hammer once again overcomes the tension of the spring. So when you look at the two things side by side here, it's very clear they actually work opposite of each other. And no, a striker-fired doesn't have a hammer. Now, there are internal hammer guns. The Chiappa Rhino is an internal hammer gun. But they're two totally different ways of operating. In fact, like I said, pretty much opposite of each other. Now, as far as safety is concerned, both of these types of guns are very safe. A lot of people will think, well, the revolver's much safer because the semi-automatic striker-fired gun is always wanting to go forward. So if any little piece fails, the firing pin will go forward. Whereas on a hammer-fired gun, that's not the case. It wants to stay backwards unless it's acted upon. Well, that's true, but both guns are safe. Even the hammer-fired has a problem. A lot of people will be afraid that if they drop it and it hits the hammer, lands on the hammer, well, it could fire the round. But that's not likely to happen because all modern revolvers use either a transfer bar or a hammer block to prevent that from happening. So if the trigger's not pulled, the hammer can't mechanically make contact with the firing pin. It's either blocked from doing that or it's missing a piece it needs between it to do that. In the striker-fired gun, a lot of people are more afraid of these because they're like, if one thing goes wrong, that sear could release and the firing pin could go forward and fire the gun. Well, now that is not likely to happen either because most of them employ a firing pin block. That means that even if the sear snapped in half and took all the tension off that little ledge there that's holding it back, it still wouldn't be able to go forward and strike the round because there is a firing pin block that doesn't release until you pull the trigger. The trigger has to be to the rear to release the firing pin block. Therefore, it can't strike the round unless you pull the trigger. That's two totally different lessons here if I try to teach you that also. So I'm going to stick to just telling you what the difference between the two firing mechanisms are right now, not get into their safeties too much, but both are safe, both function very well. They both have their strong points and they both have their weak points. But as far as which one is better, and that's another thing they asked me, I don't know if I said that earlier, but they said, and which one is better? You know, they're different, but which is better? Well, as far as better, I like hammer fired because I like the difference between a long double action pull and cocking for a single action pull, you know, and I like knowing that while it's in my holster, before I draw it, it's got that longer, heavier trigger pull. But then if it's a semi-automatic that's double action, single action, hammer fired, I've still got light single action pulls for every pull after the first one, or I can cock it for the first shot to be that way too. With a striker fired, you always have that same consistent shot. I actually just like double action, single action better. But if you're someone who likes that same consistent firing on every round, striker fired might be for you. So I'm not going to say one is better than the other. I do have to say, though, that historically and mechanically, hammer fired's been around longer. It's probably a little more mechanically sound. It requires less pieces to work together to make things work. But striker fired's come a long way, and it's pretty much foolproof now, too. So either one you choose, that's going to work great. But like I said, they are different. In fact, they're pretty much opposite in how they actually work inside the gun to fire the round. But as I said, both safe, both are good choices, and it doesn't matter which one you choose, you're probably going to have a great gun. All right, everybody, now that we've done gun talk already, I want to move on here and just do a little bit of a legal update as far as the state of the Second Amendment is concerned in this country right now. And I just want to let everyone know that Texas is now a constitutional carry state. Well, it will be as soon as the bill goes into effect because it has been signed into law by the governor. So Texas has joined, what is it, like 20 other states now being constitutional carry states. So we're really on the move as far as carry rights in this country are concerned. Looks like that's not going to be one of the issues we have to fight much in the future. So that's good news. So I want to say congratulations to everyone living in Texas to now be able to exercise your Second Amendment's rights freely pretty soon. So congratulations, and to everyone who lives in states where they are denied this right, hang in there. Relief is coming soon. Supreme Court is going to be making some decisions soon that are probably going to give you all a lot of relief from some burdensome, is that a word? Whatever. A lot of, let's just say, heavy infringements on your Second Amendment rights. So relief is coming. For those of you, like I said, that are already in one of those 2021 states that have constitutional carry, congratulations. And now Texas is among those states. And for those of you waiting, I don't think you're going to have to wait much longer. All right, everybody, I want to end the show today with a little update on Max and his fundraiser we got going on now. If you don't remember yesterday, I mentioned a little puppy named Max. He is a 4-month-old Boston Terrier, and he has been injured. He broke his tibia. I'm not sure how he did it. Knowing Boston Terriers, I'm pretty sure he either jumped in front of something or off of something he shouldn't have, because they have a tendency to do that. But like I say, he's just a puppy, and he has really hurt his back leg. And this required surgery, $2,500 worth of surgery. He's got 19 staples in his legs, can barely even sit up. Poor little puppy. I feel sorry for him, but at least he's, alive. But he's got a long, hard road ahead of him as far as recovery go. But the family even has a longer, harder road because they made this decision to save this puppy without the ability to actually pay for it. And I think we can all relate to that. I think a lot of us have been in positions where we've had to decide to tell a vet to do what you have to do. I'll figure out how to pay for it later. It's funny, especially with gun people, because I think I know a lot of gun people, if their kid fell out of a tree and broke his leg, they'd be like, walk it off, we don't have insurance. But if their dog did the same thing, they would immediately rush them to the vet and be like, I'll sell my house if I have to. Take care of my dog. So I think we can all relate to the decision of getting this done. Well, one of our own in our gun community here has been trying to help them out with this. His name is Patriot in the Dark. He's a fellow gun tuber here on YouTube. everybody's favorite blind marksman. So if you are someone who can afford to spend a few bucks to help out here also, it's always great to be able to help someone in our own community with a pet in need. And like I say, it's one of the biggest things this channel's about. So if you go over to the TYM Pistol Project and you donate just $5, we were going to do 10, but I'm like, let's just do 5. If you donate $5 to help with Max's medical bills, you'll be put into a drawing for every day, and every day we're going to draw one person, and they'll receive one of these TYM Pistol Project hats. The TYM Pistol Project, if you're not familiar with it, you can also check it out when you go over to the site there. But we do a lot of things for the Second Amendment and for pets. We're really big into helping the pets. So go over, donate $5. For every $5 you donate, you'll be registered for that day to win one of the hats. These hats are very exclusive. There's only 12 of them. One of them's mine. So we'll give away 11 of them. So that means we're going to do this for 10 days. Every day during the live chat for the next 10 days, actually for the next 11 days, because I'm going to do it tonight. If you go over after you see this video and donate $5 or more, however many entries you get, we'll do a drawing tonight. So that means there'll only be like 2 hours where people are donating. So probably have a pretty good chance of winning tonight because very few people will donate. But every day, like I said, for the next 10 days after tonight, we will give away another hat to someone who donated at least $5 during the day. And like I say, you can get multiple entries. If you donate $20, you get 4 entries. $50, you get 10 entries. $100, you get whatever that is, 20 entries. I can do math in my head. But help out a pup in need. Like I say, if you can, it's just $5. Even if you don't win, so what? You gave $5 to help a pup in need. We've done something good for someone in our own community here in the gun community. And at the end, we will donate all the money over to Max and his parents to pay off his medical bills here. And if we get close, which I don't think we will because it's just $5 a person and there's not that many people watching my chats. But if we get close, I'm going to try to match whatever we need to get to the full $2,500 if we get close. If we don't get anywhere near close, like say we only raise like $500, I'm going to match the $500 so that we can at least give them $1,000. So get us close. Try to save me some money if you can. Don't be dicks and try to cost me money. I know how most of you out there are. This is for a puppy. It's not for me. It's not for my benefit. It's for the puppy's benefit. So go on over to tympistolproject.com. There'll be a blurb there at the top with a picture of Max where you can donate. Just click on the link, donate to the PayPal. I'll use that as a registry to do the drawing every day. And then at the end of 10 days, we'll turn over the money. Hopefully we'll cover most of the cost of this at least and take the burden off the family here. Because when there's a bunch of us give $5, that don't mean nothing. That's one less coffee. But when one person has to try to cover a huge medical bill for their pet that they can't afford, that's a situation most people shouldn't be in, and it's a situation that I would try to relieve if I can, and that's what we're doing. We're trying to take that burden off of them because they made the right decision for their pet, and now let's help them out. So go over, like I said, donate. Every $5 you donate will be an entry, and I know I've said this like 5 times, but I want to get it in your head. Because people always get confused about, oh, I bought a hat. No, you're donating $5, and for every $5 you donate, you get an entry into that drawing for that day. We'll give away a total of 11 hats starting tonight. So donate, then come to the live chat and see if you win one of the very exclusive hats. Because like I say, there's only a dozen of them, and I don't see ever making any more. So come on over, have your chance to get one. And I want to say thank you in advance for helping out a puppy in need. All right, everybody, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you come back again tomorrow. Until then, I want to sign off, as usual, by saying, as far as the state of the world today is concerned, you know, it is what it is. It could be better, but it could be a lot worse. But you know what it will be in the future if we continue to ignore the fearmongers, the profiteers, the people who want to manipulate you to serve their interests, not the interests of the actual Second Amendment. If we continue to ignore those people and keep them in their place, what things will be for freedom-loving people and people in the gun community in the very near future in this country is better.